Let's take a look at 13.3, which is talking about the area of combined rectangles. Now this is probably the trickiest lesson in chapter 13 because we have multiple steps that we have to follow. It's not just find the area. We're going to have to do some addition here or some subtraction here in order to find the area of these combined rectangles. Let's take a look at what we're looking at. Alrighty, so here's our unlock the problem. And it says, Jan is visiting a botanical garden with her family. The diagram shows two rectangular sections of the garden. What is the total area of the two sections? There are different ways to find this. So, let's take a look. Now, this was the tricky part that I was talking about. Notice how right here, they split it for you, but you don't have a number up there. So we're going to have to figure out how we're going to work this problem out. We have multiple ways that we can work it out. So let's take a look. We can work it out through addition, which is the first step. So if we want to work it out through addition, the first thing that we need to do is find the area of the rose garden. The second thing that we're going to do is find the area of the herb garden. And since we're looking for the combined area, we're going to add these two together. So the rose plus the herb. But the first thing we have to do is find those individual areas. So let's focus in on the rose garden first. They drew it for you over here in a graph form, and you can count up the different unit squares to find the area. But what I really want us to focus on is using our tools that we've learned in order to find the area, which is our equation. Area is equal to base times height. Okay, we're focusing right here on our rose garden. And we have our base and we have our height. So the first thing we're going to do is for our rose garden, we're going to find our area. So area equals 8 times 3. Area equals 24 meters. And this is for our rose garden. Okay, let's go back over here. So the area is 24 meters. Down here is where we're finding using the area. So area equals base times height, area equals 8 times 3, and area equals 24 meters. Now we need to find the area of the herb garden. So you could count up all of those unit squares, but I want us again to focus on making sure that we find the area using the area formula. So this is going to be for the herb garden. Area equals base times height. Now we really need to take a look at this shape, because right here we have a number, but right here it's not very clear. This arrow is pointing to 4 meters, which means that this height right here is 4 meters. Okay? Be careful when you're reading this. We can also take a look here. And this is important. This is going to serve true for future problems that we're looking at. Right here, this total height is 7 meters for the whole thing. Now it gives us the height of the rose garden of 3 meters. So if we needed to find the height of the herb garden, we would subtract 7 minus 3, and that's how we would also get 4. In this case, they give it to us right here, but that's not always going to be the case. We're going to have to look at that picture. Okay, so we have our area, base, and height that we need to put into our formula. Area is going to equal 4 times 4. So the area of our herb garden is going to equal 16 meters. So we'll plug that in over here. 16. We had 4 times 4, and we got 16. Our last step, since we're looking for the area of our total garden, so this whole area in here, not just the rose or the herb, we have to add them together. So 24 plus 16. Either way we do this way, we're going to have to add. When we add 24 plus 16, we get 40 square meters. Okay, so multiple steps going on here. It's not just find the area of one rectangle, we have to find the area of multiple rectangles and then add them together. Alright, let's take a look at another problem. Now, this problem's a little bit different. they give us multiple values that we can look at. We can break our rectangle multiple ways. It's totally up to you how you want to break your rectangle in this case. They break it for you here, but there's also another way that we can break this rectangle that we'll take a look at, or this shape that we'll take a look at as well, into two separate rectangles. Greg is laying carpet in a space outside his laundry room. The diagram shows where the carpet will be installed. The space is made of combined rectangles. What is the area of the carpeted area? So they give us lots of different numbers that we can work on here. This is option number 1, so this is the one way that they're telling you. This is option number 2, and there's also a third way that we'll talk about in a little bit. So let's take a look at option number 1, rectangle A and rectangle B. Rectangle A, it says, has a height of 9, and notice how our 8 feet arrow is pointing to this little part, which is going to be our base. They put that right here for us. So 8 feet is our base and our height is 9. In order for us to find our area, we're going to multiply our base times our height, and so we get 72. And 72 feet. Okay? Sorry, can't see that so well. So this was a 9 and this is 72 feet. Now, our next one, we're going to look at our next part of our rectangle. They already put the 17 in for us as our height, which is this value right here. And now we look and okay, there is our base, which is 16. Big numbers that we're working with, pull it off to the side and multiply. 16 times 17. This is going to test what you remember about multiplying two-digit numbers. 7 times 6, 42. Carry my 4. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 more is 11. I put my placeholder, don't forget it. 10's place times the 1's place. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. Notice how I lined up all of my numbers. I add down 2, 7, 2. Okay? So my rectangle B is 272 feet. And my last step is now to add these two parts together. You're working with big numbers. Add off to the side. I already have my work here, and I have 272 written down. I don't need to rewrite it. I can go right here and add 72 more feet. 4, 14, and I carry my 1. My total area, 72, plus 272 is equal to 344 square feet. Now, here's the other option, or option number 2, of what we can work on. I'm going to erase this work so we have enough room to work out the next part. Okay. For option number 2, we're finding the area of the entire space. We're putting an imaginary line here. That's what it's telling us. So we want this total rectangle's area. Then we're going to find this little rectangle's area, and we're going to subtract them because we want to take this blue part out of the whole red rectangle. That's what it's talking about. So let's talk about this outside part here. We have 24 is our base. This part ends right here. That's why 16 is smaller than 24. Sorry, 24, not 26. 16 is smaller because this 16 is ending at that line, and this 9 is ending there. So don't get confused if you're using this method. Okay, so we have 24 times 17. And again, we're working with big numbers, so off to the side we want to multiply. 4 times 7 is 28. Carry my 2. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 2 more is 16. My placeholder, and I get 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. And I add down. Carry my 1. Okay, so I have 408 feet. That is the entire red part here. This whole thing is 408 feet. Now I need to take away that little section right there. It tells me by this 8 that this is 8 and this is 8. So in order for me to find the area of that little piece, I'm going to be multiplying 8 times 8, which is 64. Now I need to take this blue section that I just found out of my whole big red rectangle, which means I need to subtract. 408 minus 64. So I already have my 408 here, so I'm just going to go ahead and subtract 64. 8 minus 4 is 4. Okay, I can't take 6 away from 0, so I have to regroup. And I get the same answer. Okay, 344 here. I also get 344 here. Either way I do it, I'm going to get the same answer. Now, there's a third option for us as well. Underneath this, it says, what's the third option? Can you think of it? For option number 1, it split our rectangle this way. Option number 2, we did our whole rectangle, and then we subtracted a piece. Here's option number 3. We can go in and we can split our rectangle this way, or our shape this way. We have all the numbers we need in order to do that. So if we're going to find it this way, we might call this A and this one B. We have to again find our area of this smaller piece A, this bigger piece B, and then we're going to add them together just like we did here. Okay? So if we do that, let's start with rectangle A. I'm going to find my area, which is area is equal to base times height. My base is right here. It's 16 feet times my height. It's right here. My 8 is pointing to this piece. Okay? Off to the side, I'm going to multiply this because I don't know how to do this in my head. 8 times 6 is 48, and I carry my 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 more is 12. That's area of rectangle A. Now I need to find the area of rectangle B. So I'm going to write rectangle B is here. My area is equal to base times height. I always start the same way. Here's my base. Here's my height. There are lots of numbers going on here. Be careful. 17 is not the number that you're looking for. 17 is this whole side here, and that's not what we want. We want the smaller portion, which is right here. And then we want this long bottom. So I'm going to continue with that one. Area equals 24 times 9. I'm going to do this off to the side. 4 times 9 is 36, and I carry my 3. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 3 more is 21. Okay, so now I have my area of shape rectangle B and my area of rectangle A, and my final step, just like before in example number 1, is to add them together. So 128 plus 216. 8 plus 6 is 14. I carry my 1. 2 plus 1 is 4. And I get 344. So if you do it first way, which is right here, if you do it the second way, or if you do it the third way, any ways that you're splitting up this shape, you're going to get the same answer. So it's up to you to choose which way works best for you. Let's take a look at another problem. We're actually going to stop the video here, and I'm going to make another video with a few more examples of this, just so that I can make sure that it all uploads. So go ahead and watch the second part of 13.3, which is finding the area of multiple rectangles.